7 study techniques that old Zen master uses. Study tips for success. In a small, weathered village tucked away in the mountains of Japan, an ancient Zen master sat cross-legged under a tree, his eyes closed, as the world moved around him. The sound of distant conversations, rustling leaves, and faint footsteps all faded into the background, replaced by the rhythmic flow of his breath. For decades, he had lived a life of discipline, not just in meditation, but in everything he did. There was one thing that always struck those who came to seek his wisdom. Despite his age and years of experience, the Zen master had an uncanny ability to learn and retain knowledge faster than anyone in the village, even the youngest students. But there was something different about the way he studied. It wasn't about reading more books or taking endless notes. No, this was something deeper. It was as if the knowledge itself became a part of him, as natural as breathing. One day, a curious young man approached him, desperate for answers. He asked, "Master, how do you learn so quickly? What is your secret?" The Zen master smiled, his eyes twinkling with the knowledge of centuries. "The secret isn't in what you study," he replied. "It's in how you study." And so began the journey into the ancient techniques that had shaped the Zen master's wisdom. 7 techniques, each one designed to unlock the hidden potential of the mind and create a path to success that was far beyond the ordinary. But the deeper you go, the more you realize these aren't your average study tips. They hold the key to mastering not just knowledge, but the art of living itself. The sun was beginning its descent behind the mountain range, casting long shadows over the village as the young man sat at the foot of the Zen master's meditation spot, his curiosity burning like a flame that refused to be snuffed out. He had been told that this master, despite his old age, possessed a wisdom unlike anything he could find in books or schools. It was then that the Zen master opened his eyes, slow and deliberate. His gaze was focused yet distant, as if he could see both the present and the future in the same moment. Without saying a word, he gestured to the earth beneath them. "Observe," he said. The young man looked down and saw the soil beneath his feet. It was dry, cracked in places, but teeming with life. Tiny roots intertwined, pulling nutrients from the depths of the earth. Despite the harshness of the surface, something unseen was thriving beneath it. The Zen master spoke again, his voice calm and unwavering. "The earth does not rush to grow, yet it holds within it the potential for everything. The key to knowledge, to success, is like this earth. It grows slowly, deeply, but relentlessly." The young man, puzzled, asked, "But how do I begin, master? How do I unlock this potential?" The Zen master didn't answer right away. Instead, he stood, turned, and slowly walked towards the edge of the village where an old, weathered stone stood. The stone had been there for as long as anyone could remember, silent, still, yet always present. The master placed his hand upon it, feeling its cool surface. "Knowledge is like this stone," he said. "It does not change because you wish it to. It changes when you learn to be patient with it, to approach it without expectation. You must learn to be still, to listen with more than your ears." The young man nodded, sensing there was more to this lesson than mere words. The Zen master beckoned him to follow as they walked back to the center of the village, where the sounds of daily life seemed to fade into a distant hum. "You see," the master continued, "the first technique I will teach you is the art of presence. You must be fully present in the moment of learning. If your mind is scattered, if it is jumping between past and future, you will never truly absorb anything." The young man took a deep breath, understanding the weight of what was being said. He had been someone who studied with constant distraction, texts, notes, thoughts of what he had to do next. The concept of stillness, of being fully immersed in the present, was foreign but undeniably compelling. The Zen master smiled, as if reading the young man's thoughts. "Remember," he said, "true learning begins when you are fully engaged with the moment, when the world around you disappears and all that exists is the study before you." Days passed, and the young man continued his studies, but now with a new sense of awareness. He would sit in silence before his books, his mind alert and open, allowing the knowledge to enter him as it would a patient seed being planted in fertile soil. The lessons were no longer about cramming or memorization. They were about immersion. But as time went on, he began to notice something strange. His focus, while sharper, also felt more demanding. There was a sense of restlessness building within him. He had mastered the art of presence, but something deeper was still elusive. He couldn't help but feel that there was more to the Zen master's study techniques, something pushed him even further. One evening, as the young man sat meditating under the tree once again, the Zen master approached him, holding a small wooden box. He placed it gently before him and sat down across from him, saying nothing at first. The box was simple, with intricate carvings of swirling patterns. It seemed ordinary, but there was something about it that drew the young man in. This, the Zen master began, is the second technique. It is the art of emptying your mind, of removing distractions from your thoughts. To study effectively, you must create space within yourself, a space where only the most important things can reside. The young man opened the box, and inside he found nothing but a small piece of paper. On it were only 2 words: empty mind. It is not the knowledge you fill your mind with that matters, the Zen master said, but the ability to clear it when the time comes to truly focus. Your thoughts are like the clutter in your room. Only when you clear it can you truly see what you need to learn. The young man, eager to practice, closed his eyes and followed the master's advice. For the first time, he felt the weight of his endless thoughts lift, as if a cloud had parted in his mind. In that moment, something shifted. The knowledge was no longer just words, it was a part of him, flowing like a river through his mind, unimpeded by the noise of distraction. As days turned into weeks, the young man found himself drawn back to the Zen master again and again. With each lesson, he felt a deeper connection to the art of study, but also to life itself. There was no longer a separation between the two. Study was life, and life was study. And so the Zen master continued to guide him, teaching him the remaining techniques, each more profound than the last. But there was one lesson that he would always remember. On the final day of his training, the Zen master took him to the highest point in the village, where the wind whispered through the trees and the sky seemed to stretch endlessly. The young man stood at the edge, looking out over the vast landscape. The sun had just begun to set, casting a golden glow over everything. The Zen master turned to him and said, "You have learned the art of presence, the art of emptying the mind, but there is one final technique that will guide you in everything you do." The young man waited, his heart racing in anticipation. Learn to see with your heart, not just your eyes. True knowledge is not just of the mind. It is the understanding that exists when you feel, when you connect with what is deeper than words. This is the art of living and learning in harmony with the world. The young man closed his eyes, letting the weight of those words sink in. In that moment, he understood everything. The Zen master's study techniques were not just for learning. They were for living, for seeing the world in a way that most could never understand. As he turned to face the village below, he knew that his journey was only just beginning. What if the way you study and live is deeply connected? What if true success lies not in cramming knowledge into your mind, but in learning to live with intention, presence, and clarity? If you've made it this far, I want you to share one word from this story that resonated most with you. What lesson will you carry with you? Drop a comment below, and remember to like and share this video with someone who needs to hear this hidden truth about learning and life. Keep watching for more, because this journey is just beginning.